Good morning, morning, Mindy.
Working and knitting.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to For Fantasy's Sake, the Quad City's first and only fantasy football show. I am your host, Doug. Don't call me. I am on vacation green. He is DJ. I am a slave to my job, Jarvis. And he is Michael. You guys have jobs? Sokoli.
Wow. Okay. This is now we got 2 weeks running of just the shots being taken. That's fine.
Yes.
You know.
We are brought to you, as always, by our primary sponsor, Mobile Party Experience. All right, so what are we doing this week? I don't know. Everybody's on the COVID list. Who already had like 3 games played this week. I don't know why we're here. Backup quarterbacks all over the place is what it says on the shot sheet. So let's start there. I know Lamar Jackson is not playing this week because I have him in a league and I don't have anybody to start at quarterback, so I've just pretty much ignored that league for this week.
Also, his backup, Tony Huntley, or what's his first name? Not Tony. We know it's
Tyler?
Tony Huntley.
Tyler.
Yeah, also inactive, so they will be starting Josh Johnson, who about 3 weeks ago was hanging out with Sokoli wearing his grandmother's sweater. So,
yeah, that's about the level of NFL experience he's had on the field this year. But he's been around the league. He's been there for a while. He's a rushing guy, so it kind of fits that scheme. It makes sense.
It's really funny how if you look, there's 6 backup quarterbacks starting, and I'm going to put them in our rapid fire so we can. I'll send them in our chat so we can rank them. But in my opinion, it's sad because we are in a state where the best backup quarterback actually starting this week is Drew Lock.
Yes. And just for folks like me who aren't sure what that was, since somebody just tweeted it out here in my timeline, they are Tim Boyle. Wait, we should play. What team do they belong to?
I've got it up. I've got it up in front of me, so that would be
okay. All right. Game, so Tim Boyle, he is going to start for the Lions. The aforementioned Drew Lock, he will start for the Broncos. Jake from State Farm, he will be starting for the Giants. Josh Johnson will be starting for Baltimore. The man, the myth, the legend, Nick Foles will be starting for the Bears. Even though Justin Fields will be active for this game, but his leg is barely hanging on, so he will probably not play. And then last but certainly least, Ian Book, who the Saints have so much confidence in, they have already called Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers this week to see if they could come back. So that is what you're looking at. If you are a Saints fan, good luck to my sister and Cooter Doodle.
So I know that the Ravens, the only quarterback they even took with them on the road is Josh Johnson. So I'm curious what happens if, God forbid, Josh Johnson does not make it through this game.
Well, they did actually elevate someone. They elevated someone who I would have to completely look up, named Kenji Bahar. He's a undrafted rookie out of Monmouth. That's up in the MAC where Quinnipiac competes for a relevant in terms of what program that would be. But he's a 24-year-old, 200-pound quarterback. He's been on the practice squad. That's the extent of the backup. They elevated him later yesterday. It's a mess.
Yeah, that's.
It's ugly.
That's a thing there. I think I cursed us all because I stated last week none of the big guys had gotten got by the COVID, and now we're
playing. I mean, it's not pretty out there, but I mean we're gonna get to it later. But it's a lot of young guys at least. Normally you get to see the journeyman veteran, the Josh Johnsons, the Tim Boyles, and we're not really excited. At least there's some unknown with Jake Fromm, Ian Book, Drew Lock to some extent. So it'll be interesting to see if they can maybe show something at the end of the season here, especially with a lot of them being potential free agents coming on, trying to secure an actual backup job.
So I don't know if you know this about me, Sokoli, as I've been steady a Drew Lock stan, and
I know. Yeah, I remember last year I was with you.
I was texting back and forth with Doug and Nate a couple weeks ago. You know that meme where there's the 2 Spider-Mans and they're pointing at each other?
Yep.
I feel like that meme is Drew Lock and Zach Wilson. So
wow. Oh, come on. They're completely different players.
Well, yeah, but they're both, as Chris Steele would like to say, guys with more swag than talent. So
Does Zach Wilson have swag? We should make that a whole
did you see
segment.
his mom?
The family, yeah, but we're talking Zach Wilson here. The family's not lining up helmets on Sunday morning. It's Zach Wilson.
I feel like Zach Wilson has some swag.
I think the jury's still out on there, and that will impact how I draft him next year.
If you went to BYU, you clearly do not have swag.
Well, he's in New York. It's a city full of swag. There's a lot to like in New York, just not football wise. So it's just not him either. So listen, I want nothing but the best for the guy. It's starting to get close where these incoming players are getting awfully close to my age. So it's I'm rooting for him.
So I've got Nick's rankings up here, and I'll share these for the class. He actually has Zach Wilson as his number 14 quarterback this week, and I think that's a state of what we're looking at quarterback this week.
Gross.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at it, but that's a product of Jacksonville right there. But there's a lot of things to take into account with the Jets right now, especially with a lot of teams given COVID situations.
Apparently, I don't know how to use a computer anymore.
Shocking.
All right. Well, Chrome has lost permission to capture my screen. So anyhow, I guess we're not sharing his. Let's try it one more time.
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Science.
Still can't see it, but yeah.
Who can't see it?
I'm an old man. I got old man eyes. I don't go to the eye doctor until next week.
Fair enough. So we got the usual suspects here at the top: Herbert, Allen, Mahomes. I'm wondering. I know he ran these. I think Friday he said. I'm wondering with the no Kelsey news if Mahomes would be put down here a little bit, but we did see, the thing that gives me a little pause about a guy who's starting Mahomes this week is we saw what happened to Tom Brady throwing to XFL receivers against a very good defense last Sunday. So I'm curious about, what's going to happen with Mahomes throwing to Noah Gray and Byron Pringle, DeMarcus Robinson, dudes that nobody outside of me being a fan of the Chiefs would even know who they are. So I am kind of concerned there. I would shy away from him. And I know this is a DraftKings conversation here, but I would definitely shy away from playing Mahomes at 7,700. That's a lot.
Yeah, and at the same time, I do, Tyreek will be out there, but losing Kelsey is a big safety blanket type of thing. And in the similar sense of what Robert Woods did for the Rams, Kelsey does for the Chiefs, where, he's a blocking guy. He's a guy that they're going to hand it off to him occasionally. They're going to pitch it on the screen. They can't do that with Noah Gray, as excited as some Chiefs fans might be.
Can't they?
What's that?
No, you cannot.
Can't they?
No, they can't. No, they cannot. They cannot replicate.
I hope
what was the conversation we had about Kelsey last week, Deej?
He's the GOAT.
He's one of the GOATs. So you're going to ask
team,
Mr. Day 3 rookie to step in and beat Travis Kelsey? I think not. But at the same time, as a Steelers fan, I'm well aware that they give up some big plays. Tyreek Hill and Byron Pringle, one of them will get deep, wide open. That will happen.
Nicole Hardman probably at some
Nicole
point.
Hardman, yeah, he'll have a kick return touchdown. Something will happen where the Steelers are not going to run away with this game. They haven't done one. They haven't done that all year. So it's going to be a back and forth game. Mahomes is at home, and it's the playoffs. I think it's tough to bench. It is the playoffs. But I do think it's tough for a fantasy roster to not have Mahomes on it. It depends on your options. So especially when we're talking about Zach Wilson as QB 14 or QB 15, or QB 14, who are you playing over Mahomes where you're shying away from him?
Right. No, absolutely. I'm just saying I'd shy away from him DFS standards.
Oh yeah.
But no, I'm firing him up. Unfortunately, the league that I roster him in, the guy that I'm playing is playing Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts both. So
I have the same thing, but with Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. It's going to be a long week for me. I just hope for the best. Looking down here, Russell Wilson at 10. This is kind of a little bit of a product of, I believe, of not having a whole lot of guys' ability. Doug, what do you kind of think with Russell Wilson against the Bears this week?
Well, you always got to like people's chances against the Bears secondary with non-existent secondary, but Russ has looked really, really bad here ever since he came back from injury. He just hasn't been Russ himself. Now, maybe this is the week that he gets on track against a crappy defense. I don't know. But you've got to think that no, I don't see it this week. I think this is going to be kind of a low-scoring week if Russ doesn't figure it out.
Yeah, he's not someone I'm excited to play because, I mean, just from watching him, just from looking at your fantasy outlook, he's not been himself. He has not played well, and there's no indication that's going to change. Now, last week he didn't have Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett was activated from the COVID list just a few days ago, so that is a big part of that offense, someone that Russell Wilson trusts more than anyone on the field, probably more than Pete Carroll on the sideline. So that matters. That does matter to have him back. And I think Russ is a capable start this week, especially in the landscape that we're dealing with, where I won't bring it up a million times, but given the other options, I think you can play Russell Wilson, and in those 10, 12-team leagues, you probably don't have a better option.
Right. Yeah, especially, too, when you think about Superflex as well.
Yeah. And I'd play him over the average streamer on the wire still. I think, Chicago, like you said, Chicago's still a plus matchup. Tyler Lockett comes back. The run game's still a little bit inconsistent, and they're at home. So I'll give Russell Wilson, the benefit of the doubt this week if I'm not having any option that I currently have ahead of him, which I would play every option ahead of him according to Nick's rankings here.
What's really funny with Wilson, one of the teams in my dynasty or one of my contract league is in the semifinals, has Russell Wilson. His other quarterbacks on his roster, which he's had to start this year. He has Deshaun Watson, obviously hasn't started him. Drew Lock. Who was the other guy? Cam Newton. And then he's also started Geno Smith and Mike White this year. And he's in the semifinals. Somehow, he also has A.J. Brown and Calvin Ridley, and he is somehow in the semifinals. Jordan wants to know where Dak is on the list. This is the Sims. When he does the Sims, it is for the main slate, so it does not include the night game, Dallas, Washington, or tomorrow's game, which is Miami, New Orleans. Obviously, we're seeing Ian Book there. Tua would be down here, Ian Book. I assume Tua probably, if I was doing these rankings, I'd slot him in between Big Ben and Zach Wilson.
The disrespect.
For who?
Tua.
Oh, he's also playing New Orleans, who only gave up no points to the GOAT last week.
Okay.
So, but Dak, if I was doing these rankings, Dak would sit at number 3, just ahead of Mahomes.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Wow. See, now I like Dak, and he's got a good matchup, but he's been averaging like 11 fantasy points for the last 3 weeks. So I'd still play him. I think you have to in a plus matchup. They're still trying to chase down Green Bay for the number 1 seed, albeit it's now unlikely with the win last night. So I'd still play him, but I'd be slotting him around that QB9 range, ahead of Matt Ryan, behind Joe Burrow.
Fair enough. So Jordan, that's your review on Mr. Prescott, and we'll talk a little DFS when we come back. I'm not sure if Brian was joining us or not. We did send him the invite, but it is the day after Christmas. Maybe he's doing a little boxing today. Yes. I mean, I think that we would all say that we love Christmas here, wouldn't you?
I think it's fair to say. I think it's the most wonderful time of the year. I was really getting it. I actually put up I don't know if you caught it. I put up a poll on Twitter. I was listening to Christmas music in the gym. I wasn't sure how insane that was.
Doing what?
I was listening to Christmas music in the gym. Headphones on, listening on my own.
Interesting. But, it is a wonderful time of year. You know what a more just right above Christmas for time of the year is?
The day that the Cardinals are eliminated from postseason contention?
I would more say it's college football season, and people in the Quad Cities, they love tailgating, partying before, during, and after their favorite college football games. And Mobile Party Experience, they have the hookup for all your tailgating needs. Mobile Party Experience offers solutions for all types of party throwers and goers. They have towable trailers that offer music, TV, gaming, private bathrooms with running water, flushable toilets, beverage dispensers, coolers, grills and utensils, tables, chairs, and tents. They have all the amenities you could want or need to host a tailgate party or event. Find them on their website, my-mpx.com, or on Facebook at Mobile Party Experience. Guys, Sunday, it's still the best day at Kavanaugh's Hilltop Bar and Grill. While your favorite Jamokes, that's us, we're not on their deck talking fantasy football, but they're still one of the best places in the Quad Cities for your football viewing pleasures. Their back deck is ready to go for football season. The sides are up and the heat is on to protect you from Mother Nature, which it's been unseasonably warm here. But
I wore shorts on Christmas.
Yeah, I wore just a t-shirt, so nothing else. You're welcome.
Gross. And we just lost all of our viewers.
At Kavanaugh's, you can enjoy the Bears, Packers, or any of your favorite out-of-market teams. If outside isn't your thing, you can head on into the remodeled inside bar area and watch NFL Sunday Ticket on their numerous screens and play their adult video games. I hear they have the loosest slots in the Quad Cities. That's Kavanaugh's Hilltop Bar and Grill, 1228 30th Street in Rock Island, the non-bubble home for fantasy's sake. Football season, we only got a few weeks left. But if you spend Sundays watching football anywhere but Van's Pizza Pub and Grill, you've been doing it wrong. Van's Pizza Pub and Grill, 3333 North Harrison Street in Davenport, is the best place to catch all your favorite games. And there's still time to make it part of your Sunday routine, unless you're a Bears or Steelers fan, which they won't be making the playoffs. So start your meal off with their famous McGuire's Original Nachos or Bready Nuggets. Then ask about one of their original QC-style pizzas, or be your own quarterback and call an audible and create your own. The Vans crew will be sure your play call hits pay dirt every time. Vans Pizza Pub and Grill, 3333 North Harrison Street in Davenport. Come get served.
All right, so we are at the DFS segment with no DFS expert. So I guess that means that we'll just have to listen to DJ talk for longer.
Yeah. Like,
holy, save me from listening to him talk.
Oh, with pleasure, and especially after that slight that D just threw on the Steelers there, who are still well within playoff reach. But that's neither here nor there. They just have to win out. That's no big deal. Knock off the Chiefs today. But what you have to do for your DFS lineups, I think there's a lot of options you have this week. Unlike QB, where you're a little bit limited, there's a lot of players that I want to line up. James Robinson is someone I was touting last week. I think you have another case for it now.
So here's my question on that, and I was going to wait till the running back ranks to bring that up. I'm very high on Robinson. I do know that they're playing the Jets, which does lessen this blow quite a bit. He is very cheap in DFS, so I would definitely consider him as a must start in DFS. Throw him in there. But I am slightly concerned with them having no Josh Allen and no Miles Jack today, who just tested positive for COVID, that it will be a game where the game script kind of gets away from the Jags. Again, they do have the benefit of playing the Jets, so take it what you may there.
Yep, and those are all valid points. I think what's really interesting, Vegas has this game, I believe, at a 1 or 1.5 point right now, so they do think it's going to be a close one. I don't think either of these teams is capable of running away with it, but James Robinson saw 6 targets last week, and we have to remember last week is what we have to start assuming or start working towards as a new norm. With Urban Meyer gone, it's a new offense, and James Robinson's all of a sudden back to being the bell cow we want him to be. So 6 targets last week. He's going to be on the field even if they're down. He only turned that into 3 catches for 13 yards, but he's a talented player. He can rip one of those off, just like we saw Nick Chubb do last night. So I think James Robinson's a solid play this week, regardless of ownership and a pretty fairly cheap price tag for one of your RB slots. Another guy I like, who I think a lot of people are touting as a sleeper, so he might not be a sleeper anymore. But Braxton Barrios is an interesting player on the other side of the ball for the Jets. Slot receiver. He tends to step up when his team needs him. He did it all of last year when players went down, when James Crowder missed a lot of time. And Crowder's doubtful. He most likely will miss this game. So Barrios will step right back into that security blanket role for Zach Wilson. And I think in a plus match against the Jaguars, he could be a sneaky play in PPR formats.
Nick has some interesting Nick has some interesting stacks here that I always love to look at. So stacking Herbert, isn't Guyton on the COVID list? I believe Guyton's on the COVID list. So stacking Herbert with either
Josh Palmer, maybe? Maybe Josh Palmer. Jalen Guyton is on the COVID list.
Yeah, so stacking Herbert with either Keenan Allen or Josh Palmer or even Jared Cook, and then bringing it back with Nico Collins or Brevin Jordan. I'm a big fan of using something like that. Additionally, one of the really interesting ones, I wouldn't even call it interesting, is I think you almost have to, if you're stacking, play Cousins and Justin Jefferson. I almost feel like Justin Jefferson's a must start in DFS, just based on no Thielen.
I do love Justin Jefferson, but I might temper it for DFS purposes because, DFS, we're always talking ceiling. And he does go against Jalen Ramsey this week. That is a tough matchup to get a ceiling play out of. But, he's also Justin Jefferson. He's one of the best receivers in the league right now.
I think that's going to end up being a very high-scoring game.
Yeah, and that matchup that Ramsey Jefferson matchup could dissuade those ownership levels down a little bit on the narrative that I just said. So maybe it won't be the that 15% Jefferson rate that we sometimes see.
One of the other games that's interesting stack wise is that Cincinnati-Baltimore game, going Burrow, and then I think Higgins. I think you've got to stack with Higgins, but then bringing it back with Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is one of those players. He's going to have a high ownership based on the fact that tight end's not very beautiful this week.
I'm doing exactly that with the Burrow T. Higgins stack. I have that because I think the Ravens have been the secondary's been loose. That defense has not been what Baltimore's been associated with for the last decade. And I'm not bringing it back with someone just because I'm really not counting on Josh Johnson moving the ball very well. I'm not counting on Baltimore really being a strong asset in this game, even though they always seem to be. But at tight end, paying up, I do think that's the way to go, and I'm paying up for Gronk. With the same mentality of Brady's going to throw to who he's going to. He's going to throw to Antonio Brown. He's going to throw to Rob Gronkowski. And that's an easy decision for me. I'm going to pay up at a position that's always been a bit dicey. So Gronk seems like a safe bet for at least a touchdown and 5 to 6 catches.
The last name he has here, he's not running it back with a Lions player, but Matt Ryan with any mixture of Patterson, Gage, or Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I'm not too excited about the Washington situation, to be honest. Wait, did you say Cordell Patterson or Jared Patterson?
Cordell Patterson. Matt Ryan with Patterson, Gage, or Pitts.
Right. It's the Falcons have been a real up and down team. All of a sudden you thought you could, you've been trusting Cordell Patterson all year. Last week he let you down. Kyle Pitts can't find the end zone despite having the yardage and receptions. So altogether, Gage might be my play of the three if I had to play any. I'm not excited about stacking them just because the touchdowns aren't there.
Are you staying away from a guy like Justin Jackson in DFS based on ownership?
I probably should. I think in some circumstances I feel forced into it because the price is just that low and he will put up points. But I would try to stay away from him if I can, just because when everyone talks about someone as a sleeper, he's not really a sleeper. And he should still lead a committee. He's not going to get 3-down work. He'll be the most productive of the three, or of the two of him, Josh Kelly, and Larry Roundtree maybe. But still not someone I'm overly excited about, even in a good matchup.
That being said, and we'll talk a little bit. I'll save that question for the top of the next segment here. Is there anybody at wide receiver? Like I said, I feel like I'm playing. I know he's going up against Ramsey, but I feel like I have to play Justin Jefferson. Is this a situation where you're playing like a Hunter Renfrow, Deontay Johnson, Antonio Brown, one of those guys? Definitely.
I do have Najee Harris in one of my lineups right now, just because. I mean, the odds that someone has that down of a week, 2 weeks in a row, but based on the volume that he receives in the game, I do think the Steelers maintain. I don't know if they win it. They probably won't, but I do think they stay in this game. They really haven't been blown out in quite some time, and I don't think this team is going to be. I think this team is a bit gritty. So I do want to play someone on that side of the ball, and I think any of them are good plays. I think if you're in a true deep tournament where you're going for the super high upside, you can try Chase Claypool. I want Chase Claypool to do something, but the floor is 0 and the ceiling's 20. So you make of that what you want. Deontay Johnson would get the receptions, and Najee Harris gets the workload. Pat Freiermuth is out with his second concussion of the year, so that might also help Chase Claypool's case.
Is there any like running backs you feel strongly about? Are you playing like a Alexander Madison anywhere, Brandon Bolden, anybody like that with no Ramondre Stevenson?
I am not trying to play the Patriots if I can help it, just because A, it's a tough matchup. B, Damian Harris has been up and down, and without receptions, the ceiling is a little bit capped there. And he can easily be game scripted out, which would be my concern. But if I had to play some backup, I'd probably just go cheap and play Justin Jackson. But again, that ownership is expected to be high. I really think David Montgomery is going to serve as that league-winning role, just like he did last year in this December push, where even though the games are meaningless for the Bears, Montgomery is pushing for a payday. So I think he's got a good match against Seattle, and I think that would be another running back I'd be happy to start.
What are your feelings with Mixon? Do you think with Josh Johnson under center for Baltimore, that Mixon gets a lot of work running the clock out?
I think it's definitely possible. I would be surprised if Baltimore gets blown. They somehow find a way to stay in these games, but Mixon's got the workload. He's seen 17 carries at least in every game since their bye week in week 10. He's a good player. He's been getting it done on volume in a similar way that Najee Harris has been, but occasionally he chips in the passing game. So I don't know if they run him into the ground if this game gets even slightly out of hand, just because they're starting to consider playoffs probably, and Mixon's been nicked up all year. But I do think he's a good player, and he's a bit overdue for one of those 20-point weeks.
Absolutely. Defensive wise, I know that this is the worst conversation of all time. Are we running guys running like the Seahawks or the Chargers? Like what's our go-to there?
If I can afford them, I'd play the Chargers. I also love the Eagles because I fully expect Jake Fromm from State Farm to crash, burn, whatever colorful phrases you want to use. I'm not a Jake Fromm guy. I think it's going to be a catastrophic week for the Giants, but that would be good for the Eagles defense. I have the Rams slotted in right now as a cheaper option because Minnesota's been moving the ball. No, Dalvin Cook does also factor in for Minnesota. I think we might be overlooking how important he is to that offense too.
ESPN was touting. I'm sorry, Mike. Didn't mean to overrun you there, but ESPN was touting the Falcons in the defensive spot based upon dollar amount and opponent.
Yep. Tim Boyle. Sometimes they might be playing with a purpose. I mean, AJ Terrell was a popular Pro Bowl snub pick of last week. That defense might have something to prove. AJ Terrell has probably got a man with a mission out there right now. So Tim Boyle's not all that, and DeAndre Swift seems likely to miss again, or at least be limited.
This news break here is big for James Robinson. The Jets just placed Quinnen Williams on the reserve COVID list. So no big guy clogging up the middle against the Jags. What was that, Michael?
No, that is a big deal because Quinnen Williams was a big reason of last week where he left in the middle of last week and all of a sudden they were running. I mean, they ran the ball last week. So I do that's a big deal. I think you're playing James Robinson anyway, but I think that's another thing to add to it. I also Got a tweet from one of my Minnesota follows that Adam Thielen is warming up right now. He looks good. He was expected to play, but looking for game warm-ups does not hurt. So I do have
Minnesota follow that gentleman might be an aquatic last name.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't even look at who it was until now, and now I feel really silly about the legendary Scott Fish. Everyone loves Scott Fish, but Scott Fish reporting out there that Adam Thielen's looking to get a pregame warm-up. So that's good to know for someone who's been missing him for the last few weeks with that high ankle sprain.
Aquatic last name.
Aquatic last name.
So, Scott Fish is located in Minneapolis, as Michael just alluded to. But located in the Belgium neighborhood of 7th Street in Moline is Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill. And it's home to some of the Quad City's best food and drink specials. On Sundays, there's no better place to be. Clint's is serving up 75-cent wings and $4 Bloody Marys all day. And your favorite team playing in those out-of-market – oh, that's a big one. DeAndre Swift is inactive. He will not play today. Craig Reynolds and Jamal Williams will carry the load in the backfield for the Lions.
How exciting.
If you were looking forward to playing that game, watching that game at Clint's, you can still do that because you'll never miss a second of the action on one of their 10 screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. And after you've had your better transition there would be, well, DeAndre Swift is missing that game. You won't at Clint's. Damn it. But after you've had your wing and bloody fix, finish off your football watching experience with one of their famous Quad City style pizzas. And folks, they know pizza. They've been spitting QC style pies for the last 22 years. So make Clint's part of your Sunday football routine. Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill, 7th Street in Moline. Who doesn't need a solid handcuff on their fantasy squad? Obviously, people who own DeAndre Swift could have used Craig Reynolds or Jamal Williams. Grab a bite to eat at Clint's Draft House while watching the noon games, and then head on over across the Rock Island, Moline border to the Corner Tap for some libations during the 3 o'clock games. Every Sunday is Fun Day at the Corner with $3 Tall Boys, Bloody Marys, Jack Daniels, and $2 PBR drafts. Head into the corner, 4018 14th Avenue, Rock Island, and get into the end zone. So, Sicoli, we're going to talk a little running back here.
Oh, man.
How do we feel about Craig Reynolds?
I wasn't planning on being one, but I have all of a sudden been the Craig Reynolds truther of the scape, or at least it feels like of the show, because I do think Craig Reynolds has some juice. And if I'm choosing between one and what is a plus matchup, albeit one with a backup QB backing you up, and to anyone, I don't know if this is a popular misconception, Tim Boyle being in instead of Jared Goff does not mean they're emphasizing the run more. It just hurts the offense. It's bad for everyone. It's not. That goes universally for Jake Fromm starting does not mean Saquon's getting 30 carries. But that's not the point here. Craig Reynolds I play him over Jamal Williams. I think he's the guy with the hot hand, and I think Dan Campbell's somebody that values that. Jamal Williams should see the downs on third downs, which those are valuable ones. Those are the pass protecting ones, the receptions ones, and in a game where the Lions should be trailing, that does matter. But Craig Reynolds is the guy that could rip off a longer run. So I'm taking the juice. I'm taking a guy that has been showing something as opposed to Jamal Williams, who's more of a veteran stand-in.
So I was going to ask you this during the DFS segment here on Justin Jackson. I know that you said you're a little nervous about him because of the split, not knowing what the split is going to be. Are you still, if you own him somewhere, are you still firing him up? If you roster, is he going to get RB1, RB2 numbers enough that you're going to, I mean, he did lead them in yards against the Chiefs, splitting time with Eckler and Kelly. So is this a guy you're trusting to take you to the promised land?
My hesitation with Justin Jackson is purely in oh man, he's going to be so good, and too many people are going to be playing him. I think he's going to be solid RB2, back end RB1. He's the best player in that backfield. He's much better than Joshua Kelly. He can catch the ball better than him as well, because he can catch the ball, period. Joshua Kelly can't. So Justin Jackson's the guy I would want to play. And again, it's Houston. It is a good matchup. Everything's on paper here for a very solid week from Justin Jackson with the ceiling for a great one. So I like Justin Jackson. He's most likely not on your wire anymore, but I think he was that pickup this week that's going to push someone to week 17.
Yeah, week 16 normally.
I know. Yeah, I call myself there for a second. Yeah.
So obviously Swift, who's here at 10, no longer existing. The future of the NFL here at 11, Javonte Williams. How have you been feeling about the future?
I keep on waiting for some bad week where I'm going to have to defend it, but it just doesn't happen because some way, if I don't know, but all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, he's just a very good player. He's just fantastic. He's going to do what he does, and he's going to keep on doing against the Raiders. The snap count started to go back down with Melvin Gordon popping back, but it is what it is because he's showing himself at this point. He's on the field. He's going to be efficient with his touches because he's just a good player. So, yeah, Javonte Williams doesn't have an injury designation. He missed some time during the week, or at least was limited. But same with Melvin Gordon. They're just resting him because they've been running them into the ground. But against the Raiders, I'm fully expecting another strong week.
Anybody here who jumps out at you as a guy that you think could? I mean, obviously outside of this top 6, anybody here who you believe could be a league winner at the running back slot here? I'm really looking not league winner wise, but I think league winner wise, I'm looking here at Ronald Jones. Just definitely the as Nick would say, this is definitely a week for those 0 RB truthers. Where are you kind of going with that? I know you love Montgomery, so
I do love Montgomery, but in terms of that's someone who's been rostered all year long. And Ronald Jones fits the description for the league winner you just said, but I'll throw another name out there. And someone I brought up 3 weeks ago when he started breaking out, Rashad Penny. Now, he let you down last week. He did. But that was also a weird week where it was the Rams, and, the Rams are a tough team to run on, and they were splitting carries a little bit, but DJ Dallas just got the punch in. I think Rashad Penny is going to put it together this week, and we're going to see something closer to week 14 against Houston when he dropped 27 points, as opposed to week 15 when he only dropped 6. So I'm excited for Rashad Penny this week. I have him in one of my lineups, and that's a product of Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, and Mike Williams all being injured or on the COVID list. But I'm still playing Rashad Penny this week over other options, and I do think it's a good matchup. And what I would call him a league winner is because he plays Chicago now, who has been just a sham of a defense. And then he plays Detroit next week, which is pretty much the same thing. So I think Rashad Penny is someone who fits that bill. And with the season lost, they would love any positive note right now. And Alex Collins not getting that role back. DJ Dallas is what DJ Dallas is. They want Rashad Penny to be the first-round pick that they invested in him. So I think there's a real case for Rashad Penny to have a much stronger week this week than he did last week.
Doug, how do you feel about having the Bears and the Lions in the same breath there?
It's gross, but it's fair.
So we'll see if Miles Sanders is even out there in full capacity. I someone I'm not playing in DFS, but I'd keep an eye out if I'm truly 0 RB pushing it with COVID. Jordan Howard might be a sneaky start on your wire. Just for someone who could punch it in, because Jordan Howard's been using that bit role for some time now when he was healthy at least, and Miles Sanders just is not. So it's a good matchup. There might be some garbage time against the Giants. Jordan Howard could punch one in, but Jordan Howard saw 15 carries last week. That's not a bad number.
Are we trusting Devontae Freeman in a win or go home type of deal not 5 years ago?
I'm not, personally. I thought last week was a real warning sign of someone who, yeah, he still saw his normal 56% snaps, but he had 7 touches. He only had 6 carries. And that coincided with a return to Latavius Murray, who out-carried him. He had 7 carries, and he saw 3 targets. And Latavius Murray looked good and played well with them. I think we're going to see a run-heavy approach with Josh Johnson, so it could be a bit of both. But I do think Latavius Murray's been working his way back into the rotation. I think he's earned those touches as much as any Baltimore back can.
Yeah, like we said at quarterback, we're kind of in a situation where we're starting guys who you never imagined week one that you would be starting in a win or go home. I mean, you're looking at, Cordero Patterson. You could even make an argument for James Robinson. They used a high pick on another running back. Michael Carter, the savior, Javonte Williams, Rojo. What are you thinking about the split in Los Angeles? Are you trusting Michelle or Henderson?
I think you put it perfectly there, where we're down so many guys that trust is too strong of a word. Trust is a nice word. Trust is something I built over 16 weeks to get my team to my fantasy finals. We're not trusting anyone right now. What we're doing is we're throwing certain players in that we know are going to get the work and going to get it done. Now, they activated Cam Akers. That's just a formality to get him his pension, if anyone followed that. So good on the Rams for doing that, but he's not going to be playing in the regular season. Sony Michel saw 18 carries last week. He was coming off 2 other weeks at 20+. Minnesota's a plus matchup, and Sean McVay came out and said that Michel's worked his way into this timeshare. So he's not going away. I think Michel is the play over Darrell Henderson, as Nick has corrected his rankings, in my opinion. But, I mean, it can go either way. In a good offense, I'm willing to play both. I'd rather play Michel, and I'd be shying away from Henderson if I had the option. But I would still be open to playing him in a deeper flex option.
See if there's any names down here hiding. Amir Abdullah, probably not playing him unless you're very desperate. Rex Burkhead may be an option. David Johnson is inactive. Again, that's kind of a desperation play, as is that Jordan Howard, Keyshawn Vaughn area. Samaje Perine, we were definitely looking at him early in the week, but Mixon was full go. So Perine will get some work, I'm sure. Probably a little bit more than usual, but definitely not worth throwing in a lineup. These names are getting uglier as I keep scrolling down.
Yeah, the more you scroll, I think the less viewers we get. I don't know if that's coincidence or not, but the more of those names that pop up, my eyes just start popping out. And I might need some blue light glasses or something, but looking at those names beyond Brandon Bolden, which is as deep as I want to go in Week 16 in my semifinals, asking a lot out of me this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sure your grandma will let you borrow her bifocals to go with her sweater.
Whatever. You cannot rattle me right now. All right. I've got several teams competing for fantasy championships. I got one thing on my mind, and it's not defending this wonderful, amazing jacket. This jacket is fantastic. I'll put the hood up if I need.
I mean, is it hard for you to find like your blue light glasses? Like, are they close?
I actually have the luxury of having them built into my glasses.
That's really neat. So you would consider them your blue light glasses not hard to find?
I would not. No.
That's great. Because Bad Boys Pizza, it's also not hard to find because it's now serving in 3 different locations: Moline, Davenport, and downtown Davenport at River Music Experience. Their restaurant and bar stays open late, not only on the weekends, but weekdays too. Bad Boys specializes in Quad City style pizza and daily specials, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. They also offer food carryout and pizza delivery options at your convenience. They have a full bar at all 3 locations with 24 taps in Moline, 32 taps in Davenport, and 20 in downtown Davenport. They also host exciting events such as Quad City Storm parties, NFL Sunday ticket giveaways, and other sports viewing parties. Bad Boys always has the coldest beer, and the atmosphere is always welcoming. For great people, drinks, and Quad City style pizza, choose Bad Boys. Durham Remodeling has been serving the Quad Cities area since 1973. With nearly 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all your home improvement projects. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309-786-6715. It's Sunday Fun Day over at Frick's Tap. Iowa's second oldest bar is guaranteed to have your favorite team on one of their 13 TV screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. Get on into Frick's now, where they will be joined by Smoked Out Smokehouse every Sunday. And boy, does that menu look great. Barbecue smoked ribs, pork chops, wings, you name it, you can get it during your football game over at Frick's. So for Frick's sake, head into Frick's Tap, 1402 West 3rd Street, Davenport. That's all, guys. That's it. You guys can go back to talking now.
Well, I'm still interested on getting some Bad Boys Pizza here in New York. Honestly, that's the issue over here. I want some of that.
I mean, we could probably send you some pizza at some point.
You've been promising that since I met you, Deej, and I don't know. Listen, I don't mean to call you out or anything, but
no, call him out.
Something underneath the tree this Christmas, and I thought it was gonna have sauce, and it didn't. But that's all right. It's all right.
When is your birthday, Sicoli?
In May. It is in May.
All right. The guy who gets things done will take care of that.
See, I knew I could count on you. I knew I could count on you, Doug.
He's the face that runs the place.
Who else is the face that runs the place is Cooper Kupp, who's going to top this list yet again.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cooper Kupp's just that guy, and Minnesota's just that defense.
How far is he from breaking Calvin Johnson's record?
Off the top of my head, I believe it's about 300 yards. But, I mean, it's something – he has the extra game that Calvin Johnson never had. And Calvin Johnson also did on, 95 receptions or something insane like that. But Cooper Kupp's on pace to break it as I'm looking it up. But, they're going to force him the ball because they want him to get the ball. And Tyler Higbee's been out the last couple of weeks, but that's not going to change anything. Cooper Kupp's the guy. It's a trust thing. And Stafford's going to keep throwing it to him.
Is he the
MVP?
MVP of the league, yes. Sorry.
He's not. For me, it's still Aaron Rodgers. And if I'm going to look outside of the QB position, which I do think there's a case for this year, it's Jonathan Taylor. I don't think there's a single player that does more for his team that's not a QB than Jonathan Taylor. And I think that's a testament to the amount of the entire scheme is built around that man, where, you saw Carson Wentz. He can't do anything when the box is stacked. There are some great numbers that Carson Wentz struggles when the box is not stacked, where it's a light box in front of him. But when they know Jonathan Taylor's coming at him, and they're stacking the defenders up there, Carson Wentz has some time. He's flinging it deep. You saw Michael Pittman catch that on that great ball. Carson Wentz is in his mojo right now. But we're not talking Carson Wentz. We're talking wide receivers here, and I'm getting off track as I usually do. Just gonna reel myself back in and look at Marquis Brown at wide receiver 9. Do you think that's still with Josh Johnson?
I think that you would probably switch things up, knowing Tyler Huntley. I can't speak for Nick. Pretty soon in a few hours, Nick won't be speaking clearly either. So, I think you would bump him down with Josh Johnson under center here.
I tend to agree. Another player I'm looking at here, which is a little bit interesting, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, I loved Amon-Ra coming out. I thought he was a really solid prospect out of USC, good slot receiver, good footwork, tough player, great fit for the Lions. But I do worry with Tim Boyle this week, where Jared Goff was peppering him with targets that he was doing with TJ Hockenson earlier in the year. But now with Tim Boyle, I'm really a little bit hesitant, even in a plus matchup. What do you think about Amon-Ra? Because he's been on a tear.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a guy that I definitely take a big look at. He has indeed been on a tear with different guys under center. It hasn't just been Jared Goff. And so I think that he might be the go-to guy, especially with TJ Hockenson out.
Yeah, I think he's definitely earned that. And I think Josh Reynolds was working his way into it, but I also think that also was a testament to Jared Goff from their times in LA together. So I think that was a chemistry thing that Tim Boyle won't be looking at. I do still wonder Amon-Ra's floor, which has been set pretty high over the last 5 weeks. I think that's all of a sudden now basement level with Tim Boyle. But I think you could still play him as a guy who got you here for the last 5 weeks. But I'm viewing him more as a flex than the wide receiver 2 he's been for the last month. Now,
So
we
one of the,
do
go ahead.
go for it, dude.
The one of the names I look at here is DJ Moore at 13. It just kind of has seemed that, and looking at the numbers here, it's not even close between the two. I just feel like in those situations where we were gonna go deep down the field, that he's looking for Robbie Anderson a little bit more than he looks at DJ Moore. And here, I guess my feelings are kind of incorrect. Moore has 20 catches for 248 and a touchdown on 35 targets from Cam, and Robbie Anderson has 12 for 101 on 22 targets. It just kind of seems like he's going towards DJ Moore to get a first down, but everything else is going towards Robbie Anderson.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it, is when they actually need to move the ball because the first two passes were incompletions or a 2-yard run. They're looking at DJ Moore because DJ Moore is the best player on that offense right now. And he's unbelievable and deserves a better quarterback. And as for throwing downfield, I don't think Cam Newton can throw downfield. So there's no shot for Robbie even to may get it there. And the report right now is that Sam Darnold should see some snaps this Sunday, which I think it's very possible Cam Newton plays himself out of the lineup in a quarter or a half, and we see Sam Darnold for that second half, because Cam Newton's he's done. He's washed. He's taking a bath. So I think Sam Darnold being back would do wonders for DJ Moore, which I suspect is why he's this high in the rankings. Because over the last bit, he's been steady. Because DJ Moore is that good, he's just been steady. But the ceiling we saw in the first few weeks hasn't been there because Darnold's been out.
I think if we would have done this last week and done a Christmas fantasy football Christmas wish list, it definitely would have been, for me, it would have been to get DJ Moore and George Kittle real quarterbacks.
Getting DJ Moore a quarterback is something I've been preaching since he entered the league, because he is so talented. It's a very similar situation to me as Terry McLaurin, who has even bottomed out in some way, where Terry McLaurin's kind of shown that his floor is pretty low. But DJ Moore has maintained that floor despite QB play that could be arguably worse. So I think Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, get them QBs, because those guys are ready to be the next level, but they're just being held back by the offense.
So in a week like this, where you're playing for your fantasy football life, are you kind of like Nick, where if you're holding the lead, if you're favored to win, where you're kind of looking for the highest floor, and if you're the underdog, you're looking for the guys with the higher ceilings?
Yeah, and I'll give you a good example right now. If I had the luxury of it, where I have a good 30-point projection lead thanks to Nick Chubb and Devontae Adams last night. Now, if I had this option, and this could be hot take, but probably not, if I have Terry McLaurin in my lineup, if I could sub him out for Braxton Barrios, I would. I would sub him out for Braxton Barrios, because I perceive Braxton Barrios to have a higher floor this week, and a higher floor this week than Terry McLaurin, who's really been up and down, because he can catch a deep ball like no one else, but if the throw is 20 yards over his head, he can't do anything about that. So I do think you have to stay water. At the same time, I agree playing your studs, they got you there. But at the same, you have to know that some players aren't what their name is. So sometimes you have to play that waiver wire guy over the guy that got you there, because sometimes the slump's just going.
I have a league where I'm a 65% favorite, and then I have a league where I'm 40% underdog. So,
yeah, and I think a good example could be seen right here in the rankings, where, if I'm favored by 15, by 20 right now, maybe I had some lucky plays over 3 games that have already occurred, then maybe I'm looking to sub out Jamar Chase for someone a little bit more steady. It's someone I don't want to do, because Jamar Chase could go for 30, but he also could go for 0.8 like he did last week, where that floor is basement level right now with Jamar Chase, who's really hit a rookie wall. And just because he got you there over this first half of the season, again, I'm still playing Jamar Chase. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but there are other options that you might have that will just have a higher floor if your team calls for it. Like DJ Moore has a higher floor than Jamar Chase. I think he's established that. So it depends on what your roster calls for.
So if you're looking at a guy like Craig Reynolds, where would you? I know that he's a running back, but if you're looking at a guy like that, where are you kind of looking now with Swift out?
Well, and if with Swift out, I'm still not expecting great things for Craig Reynolds. But if I'm playing a guy like Craig Reynolds, that means I might be shooting a little bit higher with my wide receivers. Because I acknowledge that the floor for Craig Reynolds right now is he gets 10 carries for 50 yards. Or his floor is worse. It could be 10 for 40. Scoreless, no receptions with Jamal Williams back. And that could be totally nothing for your lineup. So that's where I might be looking at, man, who do I play here? Do I play, I have look right here. We have Chase Claypool right next to Tyler Boyd. But Chase Claypool has an infinitely higher ceiling than Tyler Boyd. So I might be playing Chase Claypool there in a matchup against KC as opposed to Tyler Boyd if I need that upside. And you take it case by case. Obviously, projections are not gospel. But, if you just went against Chubb and Devontae Adams, I'm making different decisions Sunday morning than I was making Saturday morning. Yeah. And you have I plugged Van Jefferson into one of my lineups over, I don't even remember who right now, but just because maybe he catches 2 deep touchdowns against Minnesota, because I'm a steep underdog in that league right now.
Like I asked you with running backs here, is there anybody who you view here as an absolute league winner? I mean, we're throwing like Cooper Kupp obviously out of here, but
league winner. I mean, Mike Williams. Oh wait, Mike Williams is out, and that just hurt my heart remembering that as I looked at that name, because that was a shot during Sunday dinner. I got sideways look to my family as I crumpled up in my chair, but that's not the point. I think Russell Gage could be that unlikely winner where somebody that really started off in a slump and probably won't get the credit he deserves this offseason, but he's really coming into his own right now. Russell Gage has really stepped up when their offenses needed it. Tajay Sharp's out, which doesn't affect Gage as much, but it does establish he's going to see every snap he can handle. So Russell Gage against Detroit in a matchup where Detroit shouldn't move the ball, Atlanta should get the ball in plus situations in the red zone turnovers. I think Russell Gage is a good play this week.
I mean, you talk about sideways look. Do you know how it looks? How many times I refreshed my Twitter page yesterday trying to find out if Travis Kelce cleared protocols yet?
Listen, you got Tyreek back. You didn't get Kelce back. I think you have to cut your losses and be overall grateful with it.
Yeah,
when you got star Noah Gray in the wings, man.
Chiefs DJ Jarvis is not overly concerned about it. However, fantasy football aficionado DJ Jarvis, who has Travis Kelce in 2 different leagues that are playing in the semifinals, one of which also has Tyreek on the team, one of which is playing against Tyreek and has Mahomes as the quarterback, is very concerned about not having.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing we can get into tight ends, right? Because we got to address some names are not there. Might need to pick up some streamers.
Right. Well, Doogie's going to take us to commercial. On the back half, we'll talk inactives and tight ends.
I'm on strike. I'm on vacation, dang it. Don't call me.
I didn't call you. I texted you.
Yes. We'll see. For the next week, I'm located on the couch, but located in the Belgian neighborhood of 7th Street in Moline, Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill is home to some of the Quad City's best food and drink specials. On Sundays, there's no better place to be. Clint's is serving up 75-cent wings and $4 Bloody Marys all day. And your favorite team playing those out-of-market games? You'll never miss a second of the action on one of their 10 screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. And after you've had your wing and bloody fix, finish your football watching experience off with one of their famous Quad City-style pizzas. And folks, they know pizza. They've been spinning QC-style pies for the last 22 years. So make Clint's part of your Sunday football routine. Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill, 7th Street in Moline. Who doesn't need a solid handcuff on their fantasy squad? Grab a bite to eat at Clint's Draft House while watching the noon games, and then head on over across the Moline-Rock Island border to the Corner Tap for some libations during the 3 o'clock games. Every Sunday is fun day at the corner with $3 tall boys, Bloody Marys, Jack Daniels, and $2 PBR drafts. Head to the Corner Tap, 4018 14th Avenue, Rock Island, and get into the end zone. Are we keeping you up, Deej?
You kept me up. So, Giants, Eagles, nobody really fantasy relevant. one time a week 15 darling Colin Johnson. He's inactive this week. Rams Vikings, obviously Cam Akers inactive. Vikings no Amir Smith Marset. The Bills no Matt Breida. Patriots nobody to really speak of. Nelson Aguilar, Devin Asasi, and Jarrett Stidham. For the Buccaneers, no Kyle Trask, no Bradley Pinion, no Mike Evans, no Pierre Desir, Antoine Winfield, F that guy, and Jason Pierre-Paul. The Panthers, nobody really fantasy relevant there. Obviously, these are guys who are not on the COVID list. They're just ruled inactive. Obviously, that list is much longer. Doug's going to Clint's Pizza for dinner. Jaguars, no Rockwell Armstead. The Jets, no Michael Pirine or Austin Walter or Jamison Crowder. The Lions, as we said before, no DeAndre Swift. The Falcons, as Michael said, no Tajay Sharp. The Texans are without David Johnson and Danny Amendola. The Ravens, no Lamar Jackson, no Devin Duvernay, no Patrick Ricard. The Bengals, nobody fantasy relevant. And that's it for the noon games. Obviously, as we've talked a billion times, no Austin Eckler today, no Travis Kelce.
Ending that list sad and strong.
Yep. Guys who hopefully will be back and winning me a fantasy championship next week.
Yeah. And there was a name yesterday, I'm blanking right now, who was added to the COVID list. There were some people yesterday who were added. They won't be cleared in time for next week. So they're actually out for
depending on their vaccination status.
Yeah, on their vaccination. I forget who it was exactly. I don't think it was Mike Williams. It was someone else, and this is bad of me bringing it up without knowing. But one of those COVID ads yesterday was someone that should be watching for. Just there are a lot of COVID lists out there to track. But on to tight ends, as you mentioned.
It definitely wasn't Laviska Shenault, right?
I don't.
Or are you still hanging on Laviska Shenault?
I have not been hanging out to Laviska Shenault, but I don't think it was. I'll look it up as you start up with tight ends.
Yeah, obviously we're tossing Travis Kelce here, out at 4. Not going to play. Did not pass COVID protocols. It's looking good for next week. We did talk about this earlier this year, and they did go and change the protocols on COVID as far as if you are vaccinated and have no symptoms, you can be cleared with 1 negative test. If you do have symptoms, it sounds like you can be cleared with 2 negative tests with 24 hours apart. So there are a few different things. Unvaccinated people are still missing 2 weeks, or 10 days.
It is definitely a tricky situation because I feel like they've been updating it constantly. But
it's also a sneaky way for the NFL to tell us who's vaccinated and who's not.
It is, and it may or may not be putting a target on some backs, but we'll that's a whole discussion for another time. It was Cole Beasley, of course. Cole Beasley, I don't believe will have time to be cleared in time for next week. I'm not sure about Gabriel Davis, but I believe it was Cole Beasley who's notably unvaccinated. But
Gabe Davis is unvaccinated as well,
so that might knock him out for next week because I'll look it up right now. That Thursday night game next week is – or there's not a Thursday night. Okay, you know what? Scratch what I said because if I'm not sure about it, then I should not even be bringing it up.
Let's just mute Cole and tell him to go away.
Just mute me and let's go on to tight ends because you brought it up. We're missing Kelce this week. People are looking for options.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's – every week you can point out that tier where all of a sudden you're like, whoa, how do we just go from that to this? And I think that tier this week is around that. Man, if you really – I think that tier is that Hunter Henry tier where you can trust Hunter Henry's totally touchdown or bust. And then beyond that, you're like, wow, I don't even know what I need for this to hit. Of those Tyler Conklins, Cole Kmets, Evan Ingrams. But I do think there are some streamers that are capable in that bunch. I honestly don't even think it's worth mentioning the top bit because you're playing everyone in that top 6 in your flex or in your tight end spot, in my opinion.
Or both.
I don't think you're going to have many. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, Dawson Knox, all of a sudden, no Gabe Davis, no Cole Beasley. Gronkowski, a locked-in play. Andrews locked in. Goddard is in my flex this week, partly due to COVID reasons with other players. But, I mean, Goddard's a great player that Jalen Hurts started to fling the ball to last week. So, and I think Drew Lock stepping in is a big help for Noah Fant, where Drew Lock likes targeting his tight ends. And that'll be Albert O, and that'll be Noah Fant.
I had picked up a league in that where I have Kelsey. I had forgotten to take off Jeff Swaim before the Thursday game started, so I ended up starting Jeff Swaim. But I had picked up James O'Shaughnessy. I was tempted. I would have started him had I not accidentally started Jeff Swaim. So I am locked into Jeff Swaim's 4 points, but I could see O'Shaughnessy having one of those games that kind of get you a few points. Obviously, you're going to count on your running backs and wide receivers to get you to the promised land, but you're never going to sneeze at. I mean, I know here Nick has his ceiling at around 9 points. I think you take your 9 and 10 out of James O'Shaughnessy.
Yeah, James O'Shaughnessy is the guy that I was going to point out when you asked me of which one of these guys outside the top 12 can make that leap. And I think that is O'Shaughnessy, where Visca's out. That does affect the target share a little bit because there's no other option outside of Marvin Jones. And they probably will be throwing the ball early and often. So James O'Shaughnessy stepped in last week and had 10 points. He had 4 catches for 60 yards. He's seen 4 targets at least in each of his games since he returned to week 12. The Jets are a plus matchup. It's a fairly high floor with that, established target volume in addition to whatever Visca may add. So I think you could do a lot worse than O'Shaughnessy out there right now. And he's available on a lot of wires. He doesn't quite have the ceiling that I would want for DFS, but not many tight ends do. So if you need to go dirt cheap, I think he's a good option.
Yeah. Also looking at Cole Kmet, he might be the last man. He might be the last man standing at tight end for the Bears. Jimmy Graham, he's walking around with a walker. That other fella, Jesper Horsted, he's on the COVID list. So Kmet might get a lot of those middle of the field catches from Nick Foles, who does like his tight ends.
He does. And new QBs obviously are always dicey in terms of who they're going to target, but Nick Foles has a decent track record of hitting up those tight ends. So Cole Kmet could be that option, but with everyone's luck, it'll probably be Cole Kmet catching the 5 catches for 15 yards, and then Jimmy Graham catches the touchdown or something. So, but I mean, I think you could do worse than Cole Kmet. I'd probably play James O'Shaughnessy over every name up to Kmet, to be honest. Might even over Conklin. I'm pretty excited for what O'Shaughnessy could do. And Higbee's always a candidate to catch a touchdown, so I think I might bump him up a little bit. Jared Cook, with Donald Parham out, should secure his snap count. He's been splitting with Donald Parham, and Trey McKitty will take up some of that slack. But Jared Cook will be the number 1 tight end for Los Angeles, which could be a promising role with Mike Williams and Jalen Guyton both out with COVID, as well as Austin Eckler. Those are 3. Those are all the top targets outside of Keenan Allen. Those are 2, 3, 4 right there, all out.
Jordan, who I'm actually playing in that league, that I accidentally started Jeff Swaim over James O'Shaughnessy. He says that it's fantasy playoffs and you don't forget. I have, in the history of this league, so since 2014, so for the past 6-7 years, I've been able to put Travis Kelce in my tight end slot every week the Chiefs haven't had a bye. Okay, so I just forgot playing. I was more worried about making sure I had George Kittle in another lineup that I forgot to put James O'Shaughnessy or swap Swaim out. So
nobody's buying that.
No,
yeah, talk about taking longevity for granted. I mean, dude, you gotta be grateful, and it's newsworthy when Travis Kelce misses a game.
Yeah, 7 years outside of when the Chiefs have bye, I've been writing Travis Kelce's name in my lineup at tight end, and I just, let me mourn a little bit. I'm not taking my 4 points from Jeff Swain out of that lineup. They're there. I did legitimately forget. because you just never look. That tight end slot's good to go, and you just carry on with your life.
Are there any options here outside of the top 15, even not naming, let's say top 16 then, that you be willing to stream? Most likely you're not touching these guys, but let's say it's a tight end premium league. A lot of guys are owned, and maybe these, beyond the top 16, are you picking up anybody? Because I do see a couple names I'd be hesitant, but okay with streaming.
Maybe Alberto. Like you said, Drew Lock does like to go to the tight ends. Alberto, college teammate of Drew Lock. So maybe there. Maybe Foster Moreau. He's been a huge disappointment since Darren Waller's been out, but maybe he gets on it. John Smith. Brevin Jordan's gotten into the end zone a couple of times, and if you can get a guy to get into the end zone, he's definitely a worthy start there.
You just named every single player that I would even slightly bring up. So I think you hit the nail on the head right there. If push comes to shove, I think Foster Moreau has the snaps and the target share that he could have an okay week. Alberto, Drew Lock played with him in college. We saw him pepper tight ends constantly over his 2 years in the league. So I think Alberto is a very low-key streaming option this week. And Brevin Jordan's been working his way on the field in the offense that all of a sudden doesn't have Brandon Cooks. So they're going to have to throw the ball. Where's it going to go? It could go to Brevin Jordan, who's been really coming on of the last month and a half-ish. And by really coming on, I mean in tight end 2 standards. But for a non-drafted rookie, it's not too bad.
Also in college, Drew Lock played with Gracie Hunt, the daughter of Chiefs owner Clark Hunt. So that was that. Ha ha ha! DJ made it funny.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just fill the space with your Drew Lock. We brought up Drew Lock alone too many times on this show for my liking personally.
Amen.
We did. All right, Dougie, take us to our last commercial break.
Woohoo! All righty. Bad Boys Pizza isn't hard to find. Now serving 3 different locations, Moline, Davenport, and downtown Davenport at the River Music Experience. Their restaurant and bar stay open late, not only on weekends, but on weekdays too. Bad Boys specializes in Quad City-style pizzas and daily specials, so make sure you keep an eye out for those. They also offer food, carry-out, and pizza delivery options at your convenience. They have a full bar at all 3 locations with 24 taps in Moline, 32 in Davenport, and 20 in downtown Davenport. They also host exciting events such as Quad City Storm, NFL Sunday ticket giveaways, and other sports viewing parties. Bad Boys always has the coldest beer in the atmosphere is always welcoming. For great people, drinks, and Quad City-style pizza, choose Bad Boys. Serving the Quad Cities area since 1872, Frick's Tap is always a great choice for your Sunday fun day activities. Iowa's second oldest bar is guaranteed to have your favorite team on one of their 13 TV screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. Get on into Frick's now, where they will be joined by Smoked Out Smokehouse every Sunday. And boy, does that menu look great. Barbecue smoked ribs, pork chops, wings, you name it. And you can get it during your football game over at Frick's. So for Frick's sakes, head into Frick's, 1402 West 3rd Street, Davenport.
So I did forget to mention when we were talking about tight end, we talked this earlier, and I kind of earmarked it for that segment and then forgot. If I'm really desperate at tight end, I am willing to stream Noah Gray. It is an offense designed to get the tight end the ball. Granted, he can't run Travis Kelce's routes. He's not Travis Kelce. However, in an offense designed to get the tight end the ball, I do like Noah Gray, and Andy Reid also, put faith in him in his news conferences this week. So, I'm willing to stream Noah Gray if I'm desperate here.
Andy Reid's always going to talk up a rookie stepping into a big time snap workload. But I'll. Would you play him over Alberto? Would you play him over Tyler Higbee?
No.
Okay. Would you play him over Brevin Jordan? Because I think that was the lowest of the other names we mentioned.
No.
Okay. So most likely you're probably not playing Noah Gray, right? But I suppose if push really comes to shove, yeah.
In the immortal words of Chris Steele, Chiefs, 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 Chiefs. All right, on to questions. Jordan Rangel wants to know T. Higgins or the future truth, Javonte Williams?
Ooh. That's a tough one. Those are two good options right there.
I'm apparently not allowed to answer this question.
I think I'll play Javonte Williams. I think he's established a higher floor, and I think he has maybe a slightly lower ceiling, but I think he still has a pretty good ceiling with the talent and workload that he does get on a weekly basis.
Okay, now Jordan does say that he's chasing 20 to 25 points. Does that change your answer, Andy?
Oh, man. Just as I get confident with it, it does. It might change my answer. I do think T. Higgins has the higher ceiling. Now, if the rest of your lineup has ceiling plays where maybe you have other players like a Tyler Lockett who could pop off for 40 or something, or Cooper Kupp or someone like that, then I think I'd still play Javonte Williams, but I think there's a case for T. Higgins for sure.
I do believe he has Cooper Kupp in that league.
Then I think I would play Javonte Williams.
Okay. He needs 2 running backs and 2 flex out of this next group. J-Rob, Rojo, Madison, Thielen, DJM, Russell Gage. And this he's looking for floor plays because he has the lead here, and his opponent needs 25 to 30.
I think Robinson for sure. DJ Moore, Rojo, and Russell Gage.
I think I'd do the same thing. I'd sub out Madison for Rojo, but otherwise, I agree.
I agree there as well with Sicoli. I would take the Madison side there. All right. Kirk or Russ? Again, looking for the floor play here.
Kirk. I mean, Kirk's been playing better. He's better QB right now. I'm playing Kirk.
I am shocked. Minnie has the Rams? Oh yeah, definitely take Kirk there. With that one.
Kirk might be running for his life though too.
True. Saquon or Rojo? I think you gotta go Saquon, don't you?
Rojo, league winner.
Really?
I'd play Saquon just because I think there's going to be a lot of dump downs going in where I know Rojo can't catch a dump down. So I think I play Saquon. I understand the question. I really do.
When did we get to this point that this was not a slam dunk Saquon?
We have breaking news, Doug.
Do we?
Yes, severe breaking news. And by severe, I mean for me. Bryan Edwards and Marcus Mariota have been added to the COVID list.
Uh-oh.
And in a corresponding move, they've activated Dylan Stoner as a wide receiver, and they've activated Nathan Peterman as the backup QB.
Famous Nathan Peterman.
Yeah. And adding those names now means that should be the extent of it. I wouldn't expect names to be added later in the day. They tend to roll in right now, and they would add them. But Bryan Edwards being out, that does bump up Zay Jones ever so slightly as a total dart throw.
It might also bump up slightly Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think they've been emphasizing the run. I think they're just going to continue to do so. I think that's definitely going to happen.
All righty. Next up for Jordan, we need one running. He needs. I don't need squat. Need one running back and 2 flex out of this group.
Oof.
Damian Williams, Amir Abdullah, Jamal Williams, Cortland Sutton, Van Jefferson, or KJ Osborne.
So running back, Jamal Williams.
Correct.
And then Van Jefferson and Cortland Sutton.
Correct.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
All right.
Actually, let's go Van Jefferson and KJ Osborne. I think Osborne has a tendency to get lost and catch a touchdown.
With Adam Thielen back, I'm willing to. I'd play Cortland Sutton and the chance that Drew Lock chucks it up and Cortland Sutton just comes down with it.
F it, Cortland Sutton's down there somewhere.
Exactly. All right. Pick 2 of Cam Newton, Zeke, and Alexander Madison.
The last 2, Zeke Madison.
Yep. Zeke Madison.
Yeah, I agree. Also, if anyone wants to chime in, Chiefs D versus Steelers or Dolphins D versus the all-time winningest Notre Dame quarterback and the Saints.
Dolphins. Dolphins D. Ian Book is about to be annihilated on national television, and I honestly can't wait.
I'm pretty sure that's offensive, Deej.
Melvin Ingram revenge game.
Okay.
6
All
round
right.
picks, 4 sacks.
Pick 2 for Superflex: Mahomes, Dak, and Burrow. I want to be Jordan when I grow up.
Can we be in this league, Jordan? How did you do that? Is this has to be this pirate league? So he's in a league where if you win, you get to pick somebody from the other team's lineup. And his team, I think he has like 1 loss this year, so his team's just absolutely just stacked. Jordan, confirm if I'm correct here. I'm going Mahomes and Dak here. Yeah, it's his pirate league.
Yep.
I'd go Mahomes and Burrow. I think Burrow has a good day against Baltimore.
I know he already has a significant lead because he has Devontae Adams in that league. So,
yeah, I'm going Mahomes and Dak there, but there are no wrong answers. All right. I know we just did this, but Foster Moreau, Brevin Jordan, or Noah Gray?
In that order. Foster Moreau, Brevin Jordan, and Noah Gray. I think Brian Edwards being out might help Foster Moreau as well.
Yeah, I agree. I originally probably would have said Brevin Jordan first, but with Edwards being out, you've got to think Foster Moreau figure something out here.
All right. Bryant Lloyd picked 1 tight end and 1 flex. Can I have the rest of the names, please, sir?
Yeah, I guess I kind of brain farted on that one.
Shocking. All right, we'll move on to Sean Griffin. Brian, we'll come right back to you. Sean Griffin wants to know Big Ben or Tua, to our Steelers expert.
Yeah, I'd go Ben, personally. I'm not overly excited about either of them, but I think Ben has the higher floor and still not really a ceiling for either of them.
I'm still a Tua guy.
Tua for me.
All right. Are you done messing around now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Back to Bryant Lloyd. Pick 1 tight end and 1 flex of Gronk, Andrews, Justin Jackson, and Jamar Chase. I say if you can flex Mark Andrews, put Gronk and Andrews together.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played in a league where you can only flex wide receivers or running backs in at least 5 years, but I would flex both of them wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
All right. From the Spideyverse, great name, Craig Reynolds or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. That was my question. I just wanted to facilitate the fact that I'm not an idiot. Or should I start Noah Gray?
Stop.
You're
Stop
still an idiot.
Happen. You could victory lap it whether it happens or not, but don't put them in your lineups.
All right. Justin Mizell wants to know Devonta Smith, or Damian Harris?
Smith.
Now, I do have some context to this because I do know this person. I know he also played Alan Lazard last night.
Lazard got into the end zone.
Yeah, Alan Lazard got into the end zone. He had a deep bomb. He had a solid week. I'd play Damian Harris, personally. Ramondre Stevenson out.
Okay. All right. Jake Scudder, pick 2 of Pollard, Rojo, Singletary, Gaskin, or Zeke?
Rojo and Zeke.
Yeah, Rojo or Zeke. I want to be excited about Devin Singletary because I think they're finally committing to him, but I'm not over those 2.
And then last but not least, Cousin Bo with Damian Harris, or Antonio. Okay. Antonio Gibson.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When is Damian Harris playing? Because is that the 4 o'clock slate or is that the 1 o'clock slate?
That's 1 o'clock.
I will look it up.
He wasn't on the inactives.
That is the 1 o'clock list. Now, Damian Harris is playing. Antonio Gibson is a little bit dicier. I think I'll run the risk of Antonio Gibson, and I'd be picking up Jarrell Patterson or anybody else I can have as an alternative just in case.
Fair enough. All right, here we go for the rapid fires. All right. First up, Joe Mixon, over under 66.5 rushing yards.
Under.
Over.
Over. Ooh, this is a big number. Cooper Kupp, over under 107.5 receiving yards.
He's going to go over.
Over.
I'll say under. I'm a hater. Josh Jacobs, over under 53.5 rushing yards. Over.
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 Michael Carter, over under 44.5 rushing yards.
Under.
Under.
Over.
They do not use Elias well.
They don't use anyone well right now.
Top's week 16 quarterback.
Allen.
Not Josh Allen though. I am. Oh wow, you got me on tilt. Let's say Mahomes roast the Steelers. Let's just say that happens.
I will take Stafford.
Stafford's actually. I tilted Stafford full-heartedly. Yeah.
All right. Jalen Hurts, over under 191.5 passing yards.
Under.
Under.
Over.
Josh Allen, over under 240.5 passing yards.
Over.
I'll take the over.
I will go under. Gronk, over under 60.5 receiving yards.
Over.
Yeah, over.
Me
Big
as
day.
well. Cordero Patterson, over under 78 total yards. That's way over.
Under.
Under.
You guys are crazy.
Not way over.
Way over. way over. Total yards? Way over. Top 16 running back? I'll just take Patterson right now.
David Montgomery.
I'll take Nick Chubb. But
Yeah.
Okay,
jokes
DJ.
aside- yeah. Jokes aside, I'll take. I like Montgomery. I'll say Najee Harris. I'll go both sides of that game.
All right. Keenan Allen, over under 79.5 receiving yards.
Where?
I'll take under. Rashad Penny, over under 43.5 rushing yards.
Over.
Over.
Good week for Rashad Penny.
Over. Najee, over under 70.5 rushing yards.
Under.
Over. I take RB1 potential. I'll say over.
Over. The Chiefs suck. All right. Top week 16 wide receiver.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Covey. It's Minnesota. It's a walk-in.
Somebody said Justin Jefferson was a must play earlier, so I will take that.
The hottest take on this show so far. Must play Justin Jefferson.
All right. Dak Prescott, over under 280.5 passing yards.
Say under. I don't think they need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems a little high. Alvin Kamara, over under 87 total yards.
Over.
Over. Under. That Saints offense with Ian Book is going to be horrific.
Yeah. See, but I'd say they lean on him, but okay.
Inefficient.
All right.
touches.
Top 16 tight end. Top week 16 tight end.
Gronk.
Not Kelsey. So I'll say Mark. I'll say Gronk.
Now I got to put the explicit tag on the show, Deej.
Why
We're going again. Keep playing the Steelers. I got to hold nothing back right now. I'll say Gronk though.
I'll take Mark Andrews just for giggles.
Oh, how about this? I will, since he took Gronk, I'll flip flop here. Noah Gray.
For God's sake. Someone's listening. Someone's gonna play Noah Gray being like, you know what? I have no one anyway. And it's gonna be like Jared Cook, who scores 3 touchdowns.
How desperate do you have to be to watch Jags Jets?
We're all degenerates. I feel like we'd watch it if we had no other choice.
I'm in New York. The games I get are Giants and Jets. So I get Jake Fromm or I get whatever the Jets are.
Hey,
Not
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, so like a good portion of the world is playing with James Robinson. So
I would
100,
I would have to
100
have like all my devices broken and only get one channel on the television.
100%
Wife
of
would have to
my
be mad at me. It's
100% of my fantasy matchups have James Robinson. So,
All right. Who wins the Sicoli versus Jarvis Bowl? There are no winners here.
Yeah, there are no winners, but the Steelers, though.
I don't know.
I also-
Best Christmas present you received?
so
I was
Sicoli
lucky.
didn't get a sweater, so immediately.
This was a Thanksgiving Black Friday gift for myself. There was no Christmas involved in this wonderful gift to myself, but I was lucky enough to get an Apple Watch actually. So I am incredibly fortunate.
Doug approves. Doug, what about you?
For me, I actually was going to flip this and say the best present I gave was my Secret Santa for work. She very much was into puzzles, and then I found out that she was a Boise State grad, so I've managed to find a puzzle with the blue field to make it extra challenging, and she absolutely loved it.
So mine was actually a white elephant gift that I got, and I got a pair of socks with my brother-in-law's face on them. And so
That's good.
I really enjoyed this gift, and my wife also said that I wouldn't say this on the show. So I had to take this off of my foot to show you guys.
That might be my favorite present.
Context.
Yeah, that might be my favorite present.
That's TMI right there.
I got a pair of socks with my brother-in-law's face on them. So
there you go.
All right, and last but not least, what is the 101 New Year's Eve party snack?
got to be a little Smokies, right?
No, we see for us that was always the Ritz crackers with the spray cheese on them. That was like
Spray cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, dog. Oh, you're
that was the treat we got when I was a kid.
All right, fair enough. For me, it would just be boneless wings for me. Or actually, no, not boneless. I'll take wings for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say you prefer chicken nuggets on New Year's Eve.
No, I don't, and I'm not even gonna try to get into that argument. I do prefer on the bone and drumsticks though, not flats.
Oh, flats are fire.
Flats are fine, but drumsticks are better.
Fair enough.
He is correct in that.
All right, Dougie, take us home.
All right, so that will do it for the year of 2021. So we want to thank everybody
for the main show. That this guy, grandma sweater kimono season, Monday Night Hammer.
Yes, the accoutrements show will be tomorrow. I don't know if the guys are doing a basketball show Wednesday or not. They're kind of hit and miss. But if they do have a show, it's always fire in there. So we do want to thank everybody who has hung out with us this year. We will be back next week, but I don't think we're doing week 18, right? Because we traditionally do not do last week of the season.
Okay. Yes, traditionally no week 18.
Okay, so we will be back next week to wrap up the year and make fun of Sicoli and his sweater. So, and Claudia Gray or whoever DJ said is starting for tight ends. Christian Gray, I'm not sure.
Noah Gray.
Whoever.
50 Shades of Noah Gray.
Yes.
Team name is sitting right there for everyone.
Hey, I have one last rapid fire question. DJ, when are you going to sign up for the new Slack channel that I created so that we can get rid of this stupid Discord?
The third Thursday of 2022.
Third Thursday of 2022. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. So with that said, I am Doug. He is Deej. He is Michael Sicoli. We will see y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Adios.